TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. Israel to intensify its military offensive versus Hamas with the aim of pressuring the Palestinian terror group to release all hostages. The United States re-stresses its support for Israel's right to self-defense against terror groups launching rockets against its civilian communities. U.S. Central Command continues to strike at the Iranian-proxy Ansar-Allah, which is dominated by the Houthi tribe in Yemen. Jerusalem Security Cabinet unanimously agreed to ratchet up military pressure against Islamist Hamas in the Gaza Strip. Speaking at the start of his weekly cabinet meeting, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu stressed that the military pressure aims at creating the conditions for releasing the hostages from Hamas captivity.
Regarding Hamas in Gaza, the military pressure is working. It is working because it is simultaneous. On the one hand, it is pounding Hamas's military and governing capabilities, and on the other, it is creating the conditions for releasing our hostages. This is exactly what we are doing. Last night, the Security Cabinet convened and decided to increase the pressure, which was already increased, in order to further pound Hamas and create the optimal conditions for releasing our hostages.
Amid a flood of disinformation regarding Israel's position and activities vis-à-vis the Islamist Hamas, the Gaza Strip, and the hostages, Netanyahu continued by clarifying Jerusalem's stance and proactivity.
While on the subject of Hamas, I would now like to comment on 3 false claims that are constantly being directed at us in one continuous lie. 1, that we are not holding negotiations. This is incorrect. We are holding them under fire, therefore, they are also effective. Suddenly we see that there are cracks. The second claim, that we are unwilling to discuss the final stage. This is also incorrect. We are willing. Hamas will lay down its weapons. Its leaders will be allowed to leave. We will see to the general security in the Gaza Strip and will allow the realization of the Trump plan for voluntary migration. This is the plan. We are not hiding this and are ready to discuss it at any time. The third lie is that we do not care about the hostages. This is incorrect for the ministers here who regularly meet with the families of the hostages, and for my wife and me. Last week we met and talked with 4 families. We speak in depth and feel their pain, which is immense. This claim, that we do not care, echoes Hamas propaganda. This is what Hamas puts into its videos with the goal of creating internal dissension and a false picture. We are committed to returning the hostages and we are working to return them. As of today, the combination of military and diplomatic pressure is the only thing that has returned the hostages.
It is important to note that the leader of the Islamist terrorist Hamas organization made a televised address via Qatar's mouthpiece, Al Jazeera, during the course of which he underscored that his terror group cannot accept forgoing their jihadist aspirations of annihilating Israel, irrespective of reality on the ground, nor can they accept defeat.
We say frankly to those who bet that Hamas and the factions of the resistance will abandon their responsibilities and hand over our people and our families to an unknown fate controlled by the occupation according to its desires. We say to them that you are delusional. It is impossible for us to accept humiliation and disgrace for our people. There will be no displacement or deportation. As for the weapons of the resistance, they are a red line and are linked to the existence of the occupation and the establishment of the independent Palestinian state. If the occupation continues, arms will remain for the people and the state, protecting their capabilities and rights.
Meanwhile, in Jerusalem, Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis, during an official state visit, told Israeli President Yitzhak Herzog that he was hopeful to see all of the hostages released immediately, all the while also citing Athens' hopes for a renewed cessation of hostilities in the Gaza Strip.
Let me add my voice to those who call for the immediate and unconditional release of all the hostages. But let me also add my voice to those who express a sincere hope that as quickly as possible there will be a new ceasefire in Gaza, and that finally the release of the hostages will be accompanied by a framework that will allow us all to think about the day after.
And that is why we are now pursuing military operations in order to get back our hostages. And we sincerely hope that today, when it is the Eid al-Fitr, the celebration of our Muslim citizens here and Muslims in the region and all over the world, it is the time to release them all as a token of the blessing of this holiday, and of course as something which is the moral obligation of them all. Thank you for being supportive and being with us in this incredible partnership between Greece and Israel.
Thank you.
The Greek Prime Minister subsequently met with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, during the course of which two leaders discussed matters related to security, the region, and the enhancement of bilateral cooperation. Reverting to Jerusalem's weekly cabinet meeting, during the course of which Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also addressed the latest escalation between Israel and the Lebanese Iranian-proxy Hezbollah.
Regarding Hezbollah, in Lebanon there is very aggressive enforcement without compromise. This is the directive that I, the defense minister, and the security cabinet have given to the IDF, which the IDF is implementing in the optimal manner. We will not allow a trickle, discounts, or considerations. The Lebanese state is responsible for what emanates from its territory, and it needs to see to it that nothing does, that attacks against the state of Israel do not emanate from its territory. We respect the Lebanese state and its military. Therefore, we demand from them the things that you demand from someone you respect.
It is important to know that after the Israeli Air Force struck Hezbollah's aerial unit 127 in the area of Dahya, a key stronghold of the Iranian proxy in southern Beirut, the Secretary General of the terror organization made a televised address in which he urged Lebanon's leadership to intervene. Meanwhile, in Paris, as was reported by TV7 on Friday, Lebanese President Joseph Aoun and his French counterpart Emmanuel Macron deplored Israel's strong response against Hezbollah's rocket fire toward Israel's northern communities.
I have called the Lebanese Prime Minister to follow up on the situation, and he is following the situation in Beirut and has made contact with the Americans, particularly with Ms. Morgan Ortagus, regarding the ceasefire and controlling operations or limiting the deterioration and Israeli shelling of the Beirut area and the south, which is incomprehensible and unjustified. Here, I want to express my thoughts and solidarity with the Lebanese people, with the people of Beirut, who suffered further strikes this morning in violation of the ceasefire. I will be calling U.S. President Trump in the next few hours to discuss this issue with him. The minister will do the same with his counterpart, and I will have the opportunity to speak to the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu within the next 48 hours to have, among other things, an in-depth discussion on this subject. But today's situation is not acceptable. It does not conform to the framework we have.
In response to the remarks made by the Lebanese and French heads of state, the U.S. Deputy Special Envoy for the Middle East, Morgan Ortagus, stressed in a statement, quote, "The United States of America, President Trump, our administration fully supports the state of Israel responding to the broken ceasefire that emanated from Lebanon." Trump's envoy further stressed that Israel is defending its people and interests by responding to rocket attacks from terrorists in Lebanon, and as part of the cessation of hostilities agreement, Ortagus continued, the government of Lebanon is responsible for disarming Hezbollah and all other terrorists, and we expect the Lebanese armed forces to disarm these terrorists to prevent further attacks. It is important to know that in addition to the rocket fire from Lebanon, the Iranian-proxy Ansar-Allah, which is dominated by the Houthi tribe in Yemen, launched a ballistic missile in the direction of Israel yesterday morning. Thankfully, the incoming projectile was intercepted by the Israel Air Force prior to crossing into Israeli territory. Meanwhile, speaking about the hostilities emanating out of Yemen, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu seized the opportunity to thank the United States of America for standing firm in Israel's support.
Regarding the Houthis, I greatly appreciate the actions of our ally, the U.S. They are dealing with them very forcefully. Of course, we are acting to defend ourselves, as has happened recently. But the fact that the U.S. has gone in there vigorously is a major change. We always appreciate alliances. We have an alliance with the greatest superpower in the world, which is lining up behind us there, and in other arenas, without reservation, and with the full appreciation of the citizens and government of Israel.
The U.S. military's Central Command conducted hundreds of strikes throughout Yemen's Houthi-dominated regions over the weekend, further degrading the Iranian proxy extensively. Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. I would like to thank you, as well as the TV7 family of viewers, who are instrumental in proactively backing TV7 Israel's continuity of productions. Keep praying for the peace of Jerusalem and salvation of Israel. I'm Jonathan Hassan, wishing you a Shavua Mevorach, and God willing, we will see you during our next update. Until then, Shalom from Jerusalem.